Hey guys, this is Katie and Blake, and this is our intro video for Guidance with Sash. So we just wanted to share a little bit about briefly about what the journey was for how we encountered or how we came across Sash, and a little bit about him and kind of where we're at. So Blake and I both came across a woman named Esther Hicks, and she is part of an organization called, or a business called, Abraham Hicks. And Esther is what you would call a channel. So what she does is she goes into somewhat of a meditative state, and she accesses collective consciousness and brings in the infinite intelligence. And she's been doing this for about 2 decades. So when Blake and I came across it, and it's all based off of law of attraction. And so when we came across it, it became something that really impacted our lives and drastically changed our perspective. So Blake and I both thought that it would be really interesting to channel ourselves. So we came across a book and just started doing really relaxed meditations. Like 15 minutes every few nights for a couple of weeks, and then Sash came through. I have to laugh because we didn't orchestrate our shirts to be matching, and we're definitely matching. But at least it's blue, so it's like the throat chakra, which is all about communication.
That's it.
Yeah, it's very fitting. Anyway, I had to sidemark that. Anyway, so I just why don't you share about what was your experience?
Right. So, I guess, Sash came through in February is when we actually made contact, if you want to call it that. But it was probably in, I want to say November, December, is when I actually kind of had the desire and the asking to have a deeper connection and more direct connection to source energy or spirit or whatever you want to call that, infinite intelligence. And because after following Esther Hicks for a couple years and seeing the profound work she's done and that information really resonating with me, I just had a desire to have more of a direct connection myself. And so I had that desire, and that was in probably November, December, and then, like Katie said, we came across a book, kind of got dropped into our lap from the universe, and started learning more about channeling. And we were doing like meditations in the evening, and nothing really crazy, just like 15-minute meditations, and then I wasn't even done the book. I still haven't finished it, and then one night in February, in a time of like zero resistance, not even trying to connect, but just full allowing, not
Laughing.
I was in a
friends over.
very very vibrational state, and just laughing, and then all of a sudden that's when Sash came through. So since that night, I've been able to channel this higher level being, this higher level consciousness that I've named Sash. So it's kind of the experience in a nutshell.
Why did you want to?
My desire of the why. Basically, it was to have. Well, I had a desire, like alongside my desire of wanting to connect closer to source energy or divine energy. It was, I wanted to help people, and I had no idea how I was going to do that, because I didn't have any skills, or I didn't think I had any skills to guide people or to coach people or to help people. And then this is what the universe brought me as like my gift, or my purpose in life was to do this. So it was very vague. Like, I was very vague in my asking. I just said, I want this, but I want to be able to help people. And this is what the universe brought me. So I'm very, very grateful, because it is something that is an amazing gift, I guess, in my life, and being able to share it with others is something that is very profound for me, and as far as I understand, very profound for people who interact with Sash. So because
how do you know it's the thing?
How do I know it's this thing?
How do you know it's like the gift, like the purpose?
Just the way I feel when I channel, when I do it, and like the information that comes through me, I get just as much from it as the people who are asking the questions, who are asking for the guidance, because it's not, the information isn't coming from me, it's coming through me. So the questions people are asking are, I'm learning just as much as they are. And there's been times I'm channeling and someone will ask a question and the guidance will come through and I'll be like, I'll be like myself, I'll be like, whoa, that's crazy, or that's very profound. So yeah, like I've been channeling every day since that day in February, and Katie is a very good question asker, and she has all kinds of questions, and
we're a great pair.
We are. She's very detail oriented, and she'll ask all kinds of questions all throughout the day, and there's never been a question asked that Sash hasn't had some kind of guidance for. So yeah, it's not where I saw my life going, but and the old me, like me even 2 years ago, looking at my life now and kind of where my life's headed at this point, it's crazy. It's been a crazy ride, and I know it's just gonna keep getting more and more as more and more guidance comes through, as more questions are asked. I know the information is going to be more and more profound. So I never thought I'd be here today, but yeah, here we are, and this is kind of my life now. So
what's it like when you channel? What does it feel like?
What does it feel like? Well, when I first started, it was very,
because the information's not coming from you.
Right.
It's coming through you.
It's hard to describe, but it's basically I'm getting like blocks of thought or information, and then I'm translating it into words, and that's the best way I can describe it. When it first came through, it was very because it was all new energy, so I wasn't able to convey it the way in a very smooth form.
You weren't acclimated.
Yeah, I wasn't acclimated to that kind of energy. So when it first came through, it was very jagged, it was very rough, and like my words were really choppy. And even now, what I do is I give a small amount of resistance back. So even now when I channel, it still is a little bit choppy, but it's because I'm giving that resistance to make sure the information is authentic coming through and not coming from me. So
it's not like you, so you know it's not just a thought.
Right. So I just give a little bit of resistance, and then the information that comes through it's become way more smooth than it was in the beginning. So yeah, it's I don't know what else.
No, that's good, I think. If you guys are just joining, we're just doing an introduction for kind of what Sash is about, how it came across the journey, and yeah, say hi and where you're from, because there's some people on here from kind of all over. And yeah, so I think we'll just introduce Sash. I'm just gonna be asking Sash a few questions here while Blake will channel him through, just so we can kind of give everyone an idea of who Sash is and what it is all about. Again, for whoever's coming to the page to learn more. Yeah, you have anything else to add before?
No, I'm pretty much set.
So I guess we can kind of explain. So the way that it works is that, so for someone like Abraham Hicks, for whoever is familiar with her, as I mentioned, she goes into kind of a meditative state, whereas Blake has his access to Sash is constant. Like, he doesn't have to go into, take some time and breathe heavily panting, breathe deeply and get into a meditative state. He can just bring in some energy and then access Sash. So sometimes Blake he'll keep his eyes closed so that he can focus more on the words that are coming through. So that's not unusual. And it's a lot of energy, so sometimes he gets really hot. But don't worry, he'll keep his shirt on. It'll be fine. Anyway, so yeah. Without further ado, Hi, Sash.
Hello, Katie, and hello to everyone who is watching this video. What would you like to discuss this evening?
So what can you share with everyone who is going to be watching this video or who is here with us live about who you are and what your connection with Blake is meant for in this life experience?
We, or I, am a collection of non-physical energies, energies beyond your physical world, energies that have come together to help guide Blake and anyone who has desires or an asking. We are here to assist those who have questions in this physical world to help bring them towards a more joyful experience. We came through because Blake had a desire. We were just waiting for someone like Blake to appear because we, or our desires, are to connect as well. Our desires were to experience life through your human form, and Blake was one who was a vibrational equivalent to those desires. And so when he had an asking and a time of pure allowing, we were able to connect.
Excellent. So where does this information come from?
It comes from knowledge gained through eons of time, through eons and through the ages, through all life's experiences, through all the souls that have experienced life in the physical world and beyond. It comes from the collection of consciousness through the ages, through the years that have been lived, and the ages that have lived beyond your physical lives. We have this knowledge, and our desire is to help you access it because it can make your life easily enjoyable and a greater level of understanding. So we are more than happy to share it with Blake and whoever has a desire to ask.
So what kind of information or what kind of questions can people ask when asking Sash a question?
Anything. There isn't anything that we don't have something to say about.
So what do you think, or what can you say is the importance of the time? Like, why is this happening now?
It is happening now in Blake's physical reality because he had an asking. There has been many channels in history, in the current history as well as throughout time. There have been many channels. But for Blake, it is happening now because he is in a stage of life where he was open and willing to make the connection. And as human consciousness continues to evolve, more and more channels will become realized. More people will start connecting, and humans, or the human evolving, will continue to advance because as you humans continue to ask, more and more desires are coming true. And as a collective consciousness, humans want to become more connected, not only to each other, but to themselves and to higher consciousness. So as the humans ask for that, it will begin to be created in physical form.
So this is going to be probably a really common question because it was a really big one for me, but what is the difference between channeling source energy and something like a psychic?
Those are all just your human physical terms for similar type of work. But typically, a psychic is someone who can read a person's energy and look possibly into their future or read their energy and predict where that energy is headed, because energy is in motion all the time, and if the energy stays the same, it will just attract more of that energy. And so that is how psychics work. They read energy and predict the future through what they currently see the energy to be.
Or the past.
Yes, similar as well as the past. If the energy stays the same, it will just keep attracting that energy. That is the law of attraction. Channels are different, and channels, people can channel differently as well. Blake has chosen to channel verbally because that is what resonates with him most. He had always been one who had trouble finding his voice, and when he finally was able to connect with that part of his body, then that is when we came through. He had a desire to use his voice more, and that is exactly what he's doing now.
So can you talk a little bit more about, like, the again, more on the channel side, because you said about this the psychic part, but
Yes. So, channeling can be done different ways. It can be done verbally, through writing, through sounds, or just thought. And that is different because as someone opens to a guide or a higher level consciousness, that energy is given through them and not from the person. Many people have cases where they're writing or they're talking or thinking, and they ask the question, is this thought or are these words actually coming from me? And in many cases, they are not coming from you, but rather through you. And that is due to the fact that you're connected to a higher consciousness or a higher energy source. And not to say that that energy source is better or stronger or more superior to you. It's just that they have a wider range of view, a more broad perspective. And when one can tap into that broad perspective, great things are possible because you can see beyond what you see in your human form. You can see more options, more opportunity, more love, more possibility, more excitement, more joy. Everything becomes more and brighter and more fun when you can see beyond what you normally interpret in your physical reality.
so what can you say to someone who might be watching, or I mean just anyone who's skeptical, like how does anyone know if this is like not real or that this is just Blake coming up with a really funny voice?
There will always be critics. There will always be non-believers in anything, in any walk of life, or in any kind of religion or belief or anything. There will always be people who believe it is a fallacy or a fake, and that's fine. We don't need anyone to believe in us. But if this energy does resonate with you, don't ignore it because it is calling to you for a reason. There will be people who interact with us who are skeptical, and that's fine. We don't need you to believe in us to be real or to still give guidance. you can be a skeptic and still ask questions, and we will still give you guidance. And in the end, it's just information. You can choose to give it value or give it your attention or energy. That choice is yours. We would never, ever want to take that choice away from you. So we invite you, even if you're a skeptic, if you have a question, ask it, because the guidance you will receive is only information, and you can choose whether you use it or discard it. It doesn't matter to us, and it doesn't matter to Blake, because you who ask the questions, that's who it's for, and we want what is best for you. And if it doesn't feel good taking this guidance, then you have the choice not to.
Awesome. So I think we'll probably just leave it as that, as just the introduction. Is there any closing messages or anything that you want to share with anyone, Sash, as we kind of close this conversation?
We are excited to keep expanding our horizons. We are excited to keep interacting with those who are interested in seeking guidance or asking more questions, because the more questions asked from more people with their own perspective, the greater the guidance is, the more information will come out, and the better the understanding will be as a collective consciousness. So we invite you, anyone who feels called, to contact and connect and start asking questions. Start asking the questions that you've always wondered about. And remember, there isn't a question that we can't give some sort of guidance for. Whether it's guidance you want to hear or not, because sometimes we can be fairly straight to the point. Be ready, should you choose to interact with us, to maybe hear some things that you knew deep down but were too uncomfortable to look at before. We might bring up some things that you knew but were too scared to address. And with that, we'd like to thank you for joining us, and we're excited to connect further.
Awesome. Thanks, Sash.
You're welcome, and have a good night.
So we're going to be doing something every Sunday called Sundays with Sash. It'll be 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be talking about usually a theme, and then having some opportunity for whoever's on the call or on the Facebook Live to ask questions, and Sash can answer them right there on the live. So, yeah. Anything else to add?
No, I'm excited. I'm just as excited as I'm sure other people are, and I'm as excited as Sash to connect, because I get a lot from it too. So I don't really have anything to add. I'm just I'm excited for people to start talking, and I'm sure this is going to raise a lot of questions in people's minds. And I mean, if you have questions, like throughout the day or throughout your week or whatever, write them down, because I know people's lives are busy, and sometimes you can't think of a question right off the hop. But as you're living your life, I mean, questions always come up, and write them down, because if you ever feel the desire, or the want, or the need to connect with Sash, then you can bring those questions to the meeting or to the session, and ask those questions. And like I said, and like Sash said, there hasn't been a question asked where he doesn't have some sort of guidance. And for me, it's always very profound kind of information. So yeah, we're excited to see what waves this creates, and excited to connect with those who feel called.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to do, because it is Sunday and it's not 9, it's technically 10 p.m. Eastern right now, but we'll still do one tonight. We started late. So we'll start that in a few minutes. So for those of you who have questions, stay tuned. And for anyone else who's watching this in the future moment, then enjoy, and we're excited to be on this journey with you. Thanks, guys.